Delicious Orie's retirement could be extremely damaging to the future of professional boxing. Delicious Orie has announced his retirement from professional boxing after only being professional for 1 month. Delicious Orie was a very talented amateur boxer. He won the Commonwealth gold medal in 2022. He qualified for the Paris Olympics in 2024. He unfortunately went out in the first round after being, truthfully, robbed of a potential run at the gold medal. After the robbery of the Paris Olympics, he decided to turn pro and subsequently signed with Queensberry Promotions. And more than likely, he was being scouted by virtually every single other promotion company as well, trying to recreate the rise of the next-gen Anthony Joshua. And the kid definitely would have had like a path laid out for him, and without a doubt would have been able to make a decent amount of money. I mean, a heavyweight Olympic boxer that signed with Queensberry, and with how Frank Warren's record is currently going, with being able to build up fighters and promote fighters and the matchmaking that is going on, he absolutely 100% would have been able to make a very, very nice sum of money. He made his pro debut on the undercard of the Joyce versus Hergovich fight, which happened the start of April 2025. Now, in truth, he didn't set the world alight. It didn't look like he could really carry the power to be able to be competitive in the heavyweight division. Now, I don't know whether this was an eye-opener for him to be able to think, you know what, maybe this isn't for me, but that's just speculation. But just for context, Delicious Orie is currently 27 years old. Daniel Dubois is also 27 years old. Now, it would be extremely demoralizing for someone like Orie to look at someone that is the same age as him and see that you are essentially polarizing ends of your career. Him being at the very start, making his pro debut, and you've got Daniel Dubois, who is virtually at the very top of his game. He's at the peak. He's the current heavyweight champion, IBF heavyweight champion, and he's fighting to become undisputed in a month's time. Now, I've been in a similar position myself in a non-boxing aspect because I decided to go to university at the age of 25, 26. And at that time, you know, you're surrounded by 18, 19-year-olds. And in your head, you feel like you should have an advantage over them because you've been on the planet longer. You should know more. You should be doing better. But when you enter those lecture halls, you're all on like a level playing field. You feel humbled, and it's quite hard mentally to go through. You feel like you should be better than them, but in truth, you're just not. And in retrospect, it was much easier for me to do that because all I'm doing is reading, answering questions, sitting exams, whereas Delicious Orie would be fighting guys that are younger than him, that are hungrier than him, and they're wanting to try and prove a point against him by essentially trying to take the guy's head off because he's considered privileged because he got chosen for Team GB. I mean, it's always seen like that. People that have fought on Team GB, they usually have a target on their back by people that didn't get picked, by people that went the long route, the more difficult route, people see it. But it's a bit strange because being picked for Team GB is stupidly difficult. I mean, Orie himself has stated that he's just not got the love for boxing, and as I've already said, he still have made a decent amount of money fighting just for the sake of fighting, but boxing is so incredibly dangerous. And to become a boxer, you need to have a little bit of a screw loose in like the nicest way possible. You need to be just a little bit tapped, a little bit unhinged. And Delicious Orie would have looked at how his career like might have played out and looked at someone like Daniel Dubois and thought, do I want to be where you are in 15 to 20 fights time? 15 to 20 grueling fights, really grueling fights, retiring at the age of 35, 36, 37 years of age, taking copious amounts of damage. And fairly enough, he said, no, absolutely not. I don't want to do that. Now, I'd assume that this decision has become much easier for him as he's clearly a very smart lad. He's just a smart guy. He's got an economics degree from Aston University, which is a very good university, especially for like business and economics degrees. I mean, I couldn't get into Aston University and I was only doing a law degree. So he is deciding to hang up his gloves to pursue something in the economics field instead. Although, even if he did decide to pursue a pro boxing career, his degree would still be there at the end of it. But the kind of damage that he would have taken in that time period would have been absolutely irreparable. I mean, who's to say his cognitive function would have been as good as it needed to be to have a long-lasting career in the corporate world? Now, I've never had a pro boxing match. I mean, I've never had an amateur boxing match for that matter. But I've done you know, training bits and bobs here and there. I've done sparring, light sparring mainly. I've never done anything hard, anything substantial. But I would do sparring with friends on a Saturday morning, and by Saturday evening, my head was pounding. I felt absolutely terrible. I didn't feel great the Sunday after. That's my entire weekend ruined. I always thought to myself, why am I doing this? What is the point? I'm not trying to be a pro boxer. I'm trying to qualify as a solicitor. I'm qualifying as a solicitor very, very soon. And it's like, this doesn't seem worth it. This seems completely idiotic to me. It doesn't make sense. Why am I putting my body through this? Why am I taking blows to the head when I'm going to need my brain to be able to make money for myself and my family in the future? Now, obviously, I'm just a nobody in the boxing world. But if I was to give advice to anyone, it would be to not do any form of hard sparring if you have no intention of turning professional and monetizing and gaining some form of remuneration in return for the risks you're taking by taking all these blows to the head. Now, I don't know Orie, but I would assume he would have had a similar thought process as myself there and decided to opt for longevity in a career that is much safer and potentially much more lucrative for him. Obviously, not everyone has the luxury of being able to rely on a university degree to fall back on in the event that their boxing career isn't for them. And in some cases, boxing is essentially their only way forward. And I don't want to sound facetious when I say that the majority of boxers, and successful boxers at that, are usually from a lower socioeconomic background, or alternatively, they're born into the sport. I mean, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury are perfect examples of this. Joshua started boxing late and he used it as a form of escapism, of staying out of trouble with authorities. And with Tyson Fury, I know he hops on about it all the time, but he is part of a fighting family. That's what they do. That's what they're about. He's literally just born into it. He didn't know anything else. He probably didn't have any other means of being able to make any sort of financial gain. But obviously, for every success story that you have, when you hear about a Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, there's always going to be someone else on the other end of that spectrum, whereas they're not making much money in the boxing world. They're struggling to make ends meet. They're taking a lot of damage, and they don't have any other route. Their career ends, or their career is so prolonged, they fight until they're in their 40s. Some people fight into their 50s. You hear stories about ex-pros coming back because it's the only thing they can do. The only thing I can compare it to is if you've ever seen Shawshank Redemption, when Brooks gets released from prison, where he's been in there for so long. This is a spoiler, by the way. Where he's been in there for so long and he gets out and the entire outside world has changed and he can't cope with it and he ends up taking his own life. That's what being a pro boxer can be like if you haven't made stupid amounts of money and that's all you've known and you don't have anything else to fall back on. You have your career, you eventually like, I'm getting beat up, I'm taking too much damage, you retire, and then they look around and they think, I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do at this point. Someone like Derek Chisora is a perfect example of this. It's basically all he knows and he's just going to keep going, even though people say, we wish he would have retired a long time ago because he's, well, you could say he's past his best. You could also say he's on the best run of his life, but he doesn't sound good. He sounds punch drunk. Same for Joe Joyce. I don't think he has much else. I don't think he has anything else to fall back on. So he's just going to keep boxing and boxing because it's all he knows. I'm unsure on the purpose or the message of this video. But I think ultimately what the retirement of Delicious Orie is going to be showing is that it'll be an eye-opener for like young aspiring boxers, in the sense that even a guy that would have had his entire career laid out for him, being able to make a very, very nice sum of money, no doubt. Even he's looked at that and gone, yeah, you know what, this just isn't worth it. This kind of life, this lifestyle isn't worth it. So I think those young aspiring boxers are going to be second guessing themselves and thinking, is becoming a pro boxer all it's cracked out to be? Is it worth it? Is it worth the hype? If this guy that's making, well, it's going to be making an absolute, essentially a fortune in the grand scheme of some boxers, he's going to be making a fortune. Even he said no. Why am I going to take the risk? This retirement's obviously come as quite a big shock to everyone, really. And I personally was looking forward to seeing how Delicious Orie's career was going to pan out and how he was going to do. I was looking forward to going and watching him. But if your heart is not in it, you just cannot pursue something like boxing. Something as volatile as boxing, it's just not worth it. With that being said, Delicious Orie has without a doubt made the correct choice. If you are not in love with it, you just cannot do it. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. This is only the third video I have on the channel, so I really need your support to help grow so I can make bigger and better videos each and every time.